he had a family emergency.
Dave's not here.
Okay, let's call this meeting the Haysville Planning Commission order. First item of business is a roll call.
Williams,
Here.
Trube,
Here.
Coleman,
Here.
Zier,
Here.
Wallace,
Here.
Rinky, Blood.
Here. You want to speak on that specific item, not during the public forum, right?
Correct.
Okay. No other public forum?
You forgot the minutes.
Oh. Next item of business is approval of minutes, April 24th, 2025.
I move we dispense with the meeting. Sorry, I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
No corrections?
No.
I'll
Well, I
second.
wasn't here, so.
I have no correction.
You got a second?
I second
I have a motion and second to approve the minutes with no correction. All in favor?
it. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
And I abstain.
Thank you. Under new business, we have an area of influence review of the planned PUD for electrical substation generally located at the south side of West 79th Street South and west of the railroad, deferred from April 24th.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Brad Etherly. I'm a senior planner for MAPD. We are here to discuss PUD 2025-00003. For this case, the applicant is requesting a zone change from rural residential to PUD to create the Appaloosa Substation PUD number 139. The subject site is 6.49 acres in size and is generally located south of West 79th Street South and within 1,000 feet west of South Seneca Street. It is currently developed for agricultural uses. Utility major is permitted by conditional use in the RR district, but the PUD allows for certain custom provisions in the development. And this proposed PUD's parcel 1 allows for utility major and associated equipment, as well as a wireless communications tower with a maximum height of 150 feet. We're gonna get into a little bit of the landscaping, but originally the applicant had indicated in the proposed PUD language that landscaping not be required. Landscaping is not required in unincorporated Sedgwick County. And so if the PUD is approved per the applicant's proposed language, that would eliminate the need for the conditional use of the utility major. Section 3A2D of the Wichita-Sedgwick County Wireless Communication Master Plan limits the height of towers in the RR district that can be approved by administrative permit to 120 feet, as long as it complies with compatibility height standards of the UZC. This proposed tower would exceed the height guideline by 30 feet. And although a PUD can allow wireless communication facility as a permitted use, planning staff does recommend that any placement of a wireless communication facility adhere to the compatibility setbacks in the UZC. If a future placement of a tower is in a location that does not meet the compatibility height standards, the applicant would be required to submit an administrative adjustment to review the request. The PUD is proposing that screening be provided by precast concrete panels, cast-in-place concrete fence, or other high-security solid fence, and shall be no more than 10 feet in height and are allowed to be placed within the setbacks. They did originally have chain link fence as well, but we asked them to remove that and they were okay with removing that language. The proposed PUD language indicates that there would be no requirement for parking, and setbacks would be according to the RR zoning district standards. The character of the neighborhood is rural. Properties to the north and northeast are zoned SF20 and are developed as agricultural fields, and at least at some point oil and gas drilling. Property to the south and west is one lot, is zoned RR and is developed with agricultural fields, and property to the east is zoned RR and is developed with agricultural fields. The subject property is unplatted. However, the site is under the Haysville subdivision jurisdiction. So if any platting requirements are there, they will need to reach out to the Haysville Planning Department. The subject site has access to West 79th Street North, which is a paved two-lane county arterial street with open ditches on both sides. And the request is in partial conformance with the Community Investments Plan. The 2035 Future Growth Map identifies the area to be located in what is appropriate for small city urban growth areas. So when that happens, in this case, Haysville, it is within their urban growth area. We take a look at the Haysville Future Community Growth Patterns Map, and it identified the site as appropriate for residential. And so while the PUD does not support residential uses, the infrastructure provided by an electrical substation and a possible wireless communication facility are necessary for the growth of the community. Just for information, we have given all of this information to the City of Haysville's Planning Department, and they have recommended approval. Originally, they did ask for some landscape requirements to be in place as conditions, but the City of Haysville and the applicant's agent have discussed this, and after kind of some back and forth, originally the City of Haysville was fine with no landscaping kind of on the north section of the substation, but placing some landscaping on the west portion of the substation. After the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission's meeting today, I've spoken with staff from Haysville's planning department, and they basically are fine either way. If there's no landscaping or if there's landscaping on the west side. The agent is also fine kind of either way. We're also kind of fine either way. Obviously, no landscaping is probably gonna be easier for everybody, but if the City of Haysville really wants to see some sort of landscaping on that west side, everybody's amenable to that. So after all that, staff does recommend approval of the application, subject to the conditions listed in the staff report. And with that, I can stand for any questions. And like I said, the applicant's agent is also here as well.
Any questions? Any general discussion? What did MAPC ask for landscaping?
So they made a motion to not require any landscaping. And honestly, in the city of Wichita, we've received several of these PUDs from Evergy recently where they are just eliminating landscaping, and we've been okay with that because of the nature of security that goes into, and the agent, Rebecca, can probably speak to this a little bit better than I can. But it's not just about like the idea of people climbing in trees, but it's also animals getting into the substation and things like that. So, so after all that, usually we're pretty okay with no landscaping around any kind of screening wall or anything like that. But since the city staff had requested it, we were fine with that as well. But then after the planning commission meeting where they made a motion to not require any, I talked to Georgie and they seem to be fine with none if that's the will of the commission here.
One thing to note, to the north of the property, there is drainage. And so there's not space anywhere to put landscaping there, and then it goes into road right away. So the only spot that there would be space to put anything would be on the west side. That probably is longer term in being developed, so that's one of the reasons. And then I wasn't aware of some of Evergy's issues with trees and animals and everything, so that makes a little bit more sense. So I'm okay with what they recommended. I wasn't aware of that until today, so, but.
And to be clear, the whole site's surrounded by a 10-foot concrete wall, so.
Yeah.
It's not a security thing as much as it is, let's call it beautification, so.
Yeah, so I would agree with the recommendation that we don't need to require landscaping for this.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Anybody have a motion?
I'll move that we recommend approval of the substation PUD with the staff recommended conditions.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and second to recommend approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? I abstain.
I abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item of business is a public hearing for a zone change request from light industrial to light commercial, generally located at the north side of East Grand Avenue, approximately 100 feet northwest of the intersection of South Perner Drive and East Grand. Protect the rights of all parties involved in order to create an opportunity for everyone to speak their opinions and present information. The Haysville Planning Commission follows a specific procedure in reaching a decision. A copy is available by the door. We now formally open the public hearing to consider proposed zone change from request from light industrial to light commercial. Any members of the Planning Commission have a conflict of interest in this case? If so, please state.
No.
Any members received any written or electronic communications on this matter?
No.
Staff, please present.
So the applicant is requesting a zone change from light industrial to light commercial. On the property, it's 1.034 acres. The subject site is generally located on the north side of East Grand Avenue, northwest of the intersection of South Perner Drive and East Grand Avenue, and is currently undeveloped. The subject site was platted as American RV addition to Haysville in December of 1972. The surrounding property is a mixture of industrial, commercial, and residential uses. The property to the north, south, and east are zoned light industrial and developed with an auction house, a waste disposal company, single-family dwelling, and a propane sales. Property to the west is zoned light commercial and is undeveloped. Property to the south is zoned light commercial and developed as a convenience store and then a motel. The property owner is available to address any questions related to the development of the site. This review tonight for what we're looking at is only evaluating the suitability of the property for uses permitted under the light commercial zoning district as defined in the zoning chart. So any proposed future use of the property must fall within the light commercial usage of the chart. There is a table in your staff report that lists those different uses for you to review. The current zoning LI allows for basic industrial, manufacturing, construction services, and any uses that may create obnoxious sounds, glare, dust, or odor, while the requested zoning, light commercial, allows for a limited number of civic and commercial uses aimed to serve the needs of those living in nearby neighborhoods. There is a table in your staff report that also outlines the development or standards for light industrial and light commercial, so you can compare them. Staff is recommending approval of the zone change from light industrial to light commercial. The applicant and the agent is here to answer any questions, and I can also stand for any questions.
Any questions for staff?
I have none.
This is the property next door to the one we looked at last time?
Yes.
Same light industrial, light commercial?
Yes.
That applicant or agent wish to speak?
Yes, I'm just here for Miguel Reyes, who is.
Wait, are you here for the,
No.
this?
Oh,
that's not
no,
this
you were
one.
saying.
Sorry, wrong person.
Okay.
Sorry,
No problem.
this is the applicant.
That applicant.
My name's Mike Allard. I was working with Danielle looking for a property in Haysville. My tie to Haysville, I've taught here in Haysville for 8 years and coach at the middle school. And I'm wanting to put in a building that would have a laundromat and then another space for lease, potentially a restaurant, or I've talked to a coffee shop, I've talked to a barber that's shown some interest. So it'd be about a 140 by 40 foot building. Primarily, probably 70% of that would be a laundromat, and the other 30% of that would be for lease for another business. And when I had talked to Danielle about that building, I think some of the zoning got reworded or changed after I had bought it. But when I bought it, light commercial or light industrial would have fallen under the ability to do what I was wanting to do. So she said we'd have to go through a zone change to allow that to continue to happen. So that's the plan. That's what I'm looking at doing on that property.
Any questions for the applicant?
I have none.
Thank you. Now's the time for any member of the public to speak. questions of the public from the commission?
Nope.
No rebuttal. Public comment is now closed for the commission action. The floor is open to commissioners' comments. Any discussion?
Nope. Sounds pretty straightforward.
Is there a motion there?
I'll move that we recommend the approval of the zone change from light industrial to light commercial as presented.
I'll second that. You had me at laundromat.
To be clear, we're doing the zone change, not necessarily
I
the
know,
specific
I
use.
know. I'm there with him though.
Okay.
That is the plan.
The motion is second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item of business is public hearing for conditional use request to allow vehicle storage yard generally located at the south side of East Emmett Avenue, approximately 900 feet south of Broadway. This one is yours. Not yet, not yet. Let me get there.
I'll wait my turn.
We now formally open the public hearing to consider the conditional use to allow vehicle storage yard. Do any members of the commission have a conflict of interest?
I do.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any members received any written or electronic communications? Please present.
So I'm gonna skip some of this because Tim already covered that. So the subject site was platted as the Haysville Industrial Park Second Edition in 1996. It is currently undeveloped. There are no other known zoning cases associated with the property. The subject site will have access to East Emmett Avenue, a two-lane gravel road. East Emmett Avenue is part of the city's Pave the Unpaved initiative and will be improved later this summer. The site is not connected to the city sewer or water, but access is available. Characteristics of the neighborhood is light industrial. Property to the west is developed and currently used for construction services. All other properties are undeveloped. The applicant is requesting the conditional use to allow for a vehicle storage yard. The property will be used for the personal storage and repair of the applicant's commercial vehicles. The applicant will be purchasing the property contingent on the approval of this conditional use. The vehicle storage yard is defined under the zoning definitions as the keeping outside of an enclosed building for more than 72 consecutive hours of one or more motor vehicles, boats, trailers, or unoccupied recreational vehicles. The term vehicle storage yard does not include wrecking, salvage yard, or inoperable vehicles. We did not receive any public comment on this. The requested conditional use is in conformance with the City of Haysville's comprehensive plan. The land use map depicts the subject site as appropriate for industrial uses. There was some comments back from the utilities. Water and sewer are available in the site. Sedgwick County Fire did review it. They just said if there is a building that is constructed, it'll have to go through site plan review. Staff is recommending approval based on the following conditions. The first one is a detailed site plan shall be approved by the zoning administrator, addressing in detail the extent and use of the entire property, including designation of uses for outdoor areas on the property, access to the property, and fence height, location, and material. The site shall comply with all provisions of the city code found in chapter 16. The storage of inoperable vehicles is not allowed. The conditional use for vehicle storage yard shall be permitted for 10 years. After such time, the conditional use shall expire. The property owner shall be able to renew the conditional use for subsequent 5-year periods by administrative approval. If the zoning administrator finds that there is a violation of any of the conditions of the conditional use, the zoning administrator, in addition to enforcing other remedies, may, with the concurrence of staff, declare that the conditional use is null and void. So the applicant is here, the agent is here, not the applicant, and I can stand for any questions as well.
I have a question. What kind of vehicles will be stored?
I mean, as I read that definition there, so it won't be inoperable vehicles, but, and she may be able to answer this more for me, but I mean, the definition for what's defined under vehicle storage yard, it just means they can't be inoperable. So it can be boats, it can be RVs, not somebody living in one, it can be semis. For industrial, this is where we allow this. We did change this to a conditional use so we can review these cases because some of the things that we've happened in the past and we wanted to review them.
I assume we're not gonna allow repair of vehicles?
No, repair of vehicles could, so they're gonna be able to repair their trucks there. Are they gonna be able to operate a business? That would be, they would have to apply for a business license and go through that process. But yes, I mean, of course, a person, if he has a truck there, he can work on his truck. Can he do it as a business? He would have to go through the business license process for that. But yes, I believe, vehicle repair, I would have to look at the chart, is allowed in industrial.
Is there any concern about fluid runoff or anything like that?
He will have to adhere to, I mean, it will have to be a hard surface. He will have to adhere to, you know, health and environmental standards for that and the disposal of. I'm not sure of that process, but I mean, he would have to follow along.
I don't suppose it'd be too much of a concern if we're not dealing with, commercial repair.
Yeah, I mean, as far as zoning, we don't look at that side of it. We look at the use of the property, what conditions we've set on it. So that's kind of out of my licensing part, so.
We're strictly talking about specific land use, and as she stated, this is the place in town where we designated this is supposed to go, so. The conditional use is there so that we can better regulate it. The one question I had was, you talked about being able to renew or not renew on a 10-year cycle. Is there a mechanism for 2 years down the road, you guys find a violation that you can threaten to revoke based on that violation, or does it take that full 10-year cycle before?
So the way this is set, it would be 10 years before we'd have to come up renewal for where we could take the conditional use away. As far as if they have violations, those would be addressed from either a nuisance standpoint or a zoning standpoint, and that would go through the process of, long forms in court, and the process like that. So they would still have to follow along with the zoning regulations, which is one of the, stipulations there in the conditions.
Okay.
So putting the 10-year limit on it, in the past, we've had some properties puts an endpoint to it for us for legal wise, if something, I guess, goes wrong, that we have something to go back on to be able to, that use just doesn't continue as a legal non-conforming use for some reason.
Any other questions for staff? The agent for the applicant?
I can answer some questions. It's just a family business that he's moving over to this location, and he keeps it nice and clean as a pin where he's at now. And it's rock and sand that he hauls. It's not something industrial. And his neighbors even talk about how clean his house is over there where he keeps them now, but this will be all taken care of, and they've already talked to him about what he needs to do that. He's working with Clary Buildings out of Wellington to build a 30 by 60 building for him on there, so it will be 5 semis with just the trailers. And they go in and out, early morning and come back early afternoon.
Any questions for the applicant's agent? Thank you. Any member of the public wish to speak? Seeing none.
Me.
Nope.
Oh, sorry. Please speak. Yeah.
Got it. I'm gonna take my computer because I can't see that far. Jeff Blood, I'm a managing member of GEB, so the property owner. I just have some questions and comments, and I probably should do it up here, I guess. So it says that, stated that the site is appropriate for additional uses per the comprehensive plan for storage and vehicle storage. Why not put it under storage outdoor as a principal use?
Storage outdoor as a principal use would include things besides vehicles. I would have to look at the definition, but I believe the definition is a little bit different than vehicle storage.
Okay.
And I don't think you can have vehicle storage in the principal outdoors. I would have to look at that, but there is a difference.
Yeah, it just says that where such storage is such a principal use of the lot. Does not include junkyard or salvage vehicles. Anyway, if you did storage outdoor principal use, you wouldn't need a conditional use? Because it's permitted in there?
I don't, vehicle storage wouldn't be allowed, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, I'm just stating. And then the other question would be if a building is built, wouldn't it fall under the same commercial operations, offices, warehouse, outside storage already within the city limits that are functioning? Where a permit wouldn't be needed since the building's gonna be built? And it's not just a vehicle storage yard?
What do you mean a permit wouldn't be needed, like, a permit wouldn't be needed through building permits?
No, like the conditional use permit. If the
Oh,
building
okay.
was built and it was being used as a repair facility for the owner, not as a commercial facility,
So I don't think it's saying that a building can't be built, it would still have to go through the permitting process and everything like that.
no,
Um,
I know that.
Okay,
But if the building, so if they don't build a building and it's just a vehicle storage yard,
correct,
then you have to have a conditional use permit.
correct,
If the building's on the property,
okay.
do you still need the conditional use permit?
If, is he doing a repair shop?
No.
So, he would still need the use, the primary use would be a vehicle storage yard then. Just because you have the building there, the primary use would be the vehicle storage yard. If it was going to be a repair shop, then that would be different.
So this is, okay, so this is all kind of based on the zoning requirements changes that have been made over the last couple of years then?
Yes, because we did change vehicle storage yard to conditional use.
Okay,
And that would be the primary, use on the property.
okay. It says a parking lot application for the whole lot is going to be needed for parking?
So they will have to submit a parking application for the building and a site plan. They may not be using the whole property for that.
Just for the building?
Yeah, so for what they're gonna use for the vehicle storage yard, I believe has to be hard surface. So I know they have submitted a site plan that doesn't include the whole thing, so that will be reviewed with the site plan. And I think they are aware of that from what they submitted, that what is used as a vehicle storage yard has to be a hard surface.
Okay, and then it states 1 parking space per 1,000 square foot of floor area? Is that floor area of the concrete hard surface or of the building? Or the property?
Probably I'm trying to remember, because I haven't looked at this part yet, because I haven't got the site plan, but it would be of the area that they're using for the hard surface. A little bit different when they're just using it and there's not a building.
Okay, and then the hard surface required for off-street parking would just be if a building was built with a hard surface, correct?
No, it would be required for the vehicle storage yard.
So they have to put a hard surface in to have a vehicle storage yard?
Yes.
So you can't park trucks on rock?
Not under no, for what we've changed. When we reviewed a different property,
Okay.
it was, yeah.
I just wanted to clarify. Recommendation 3 says, what determines inoperability? So it says no inoperable vehicles allowed, but it doesn't say anything about what determines inoperability.
The zoning code has a definition of inoperable vehicle, or the city code does.
And that's 45 days per code on the website.
So a vehicle, you can have a vehicle that's broken down, and that does take in concessions for if you have something that you're repairing. So you do have up to 45 days.
Okay.
We do give extensions for that if there's something that, I can't get a water pump in or something.
Yeah, I just didn't know if that 45 days needed to be on there.
45 days is something that we have added because of dealing with court cases, so that that's one that we came from,
Okay.
Recommendations from a judge.
Cool, all right. My last one is, so page 3 under analysis, it says some on-site detention will be required. Details will be discussed during the site plan review.
And I think they're aware of that as well. Stormwater comes into play when you go over an acre, and so development of the property, when you go over an acre of development, then you have to take in consideration stormwater. So there'll have to be some type of drainage plan with the site review and everything. So that's
but-
with any new property development.
Yeah, I don't think that's talking about, I took that as Emmett Avenue is going to be reconstructed, converting gravel to asphalt. So the contract's been awarded, a pre-construction conference will be scheduled. Date of construction is unknown, but it says some on-site detention will be required, details which discussed during site plan review process.
So no, some detention will be required on that property because of stormwater. That is part of the review process that goes with site plan. And anything, stormwater kicks in over an acre of development. And we've seen that with other properties, even with the PUD that we were just talking about on the north side of it, that there is detention there. Stormwater is required on all new development properties.
Okay, so that statement is not about the whole road, it's about the lot itself.
It's about the lot, yeah, yes.
It's analysis, page 3.
I'm on the wrong case. Yeah, I'm almost positive that's referring to the site plan and stormwater development.
Okay, for that lot.
Yep.
Okay, I was just gonna say, if it's for the road, is there gonna be an opportunity for the landowner or current landowners that own land on that road to be involved, or at least know what the plan is?
Yeah, no, that's just for the development of the property, so,
Okay.
I mean, the zoning of a property is what looked at first, and then if it has to be platted, along with plating is drainage and everything, and then if you're looking at a property that is already platted and you're going to development, there's a site plan which, if it's over an acre, then it kicks in stormwater. And stormwater, I would say, is fairly new in the last, well, I mean, I guess I don't know if I'd say new,
Well,
but,
it's been in Sedgwick County for years. I don't know when we adopted what's essentially their policy, but.
yeah, and I know we updated that a year ago, but, yeah.
Okay, I just took that as, I thought it was the road itself, so, okey dokey, thank you.
I have some questions after that.
Any other questions from the public?
So, is there a way, I didn't get a lot of this, so, on the planning for the stormwater and also the concrete that he needs for that, we need to let him know about that, because he didn't receive any of that information.
So part of the process, and what a lot of people don't understand when they look at development of property, is there is a site plan, but they have to go through the zoning process first, and if there's a conditional use, you have to go through that. Sometimes you have to go through plating, and then there is also, you have, possibility of running sewer infrastructure for water or utilities there. And there's also, when you develop your property, for what's required from the code for parking. I don't know what Kalen had with him for discussions, but so that would be part of that site plan development. That is the next step. I'm not sure of what discussions of those or for what he's reviewed of the code of that part he knows, but I thought he had been informed of
Okay.
that it would have to be a hard surface.
Well, yeah, that's fine, but we were just under the impression just the building, and then he could rock around it for the drainage, which would be even better for drainage for a property.
So that would have to come with the site plan review for what he's wanting to do. So, I mean, that's all I can tell you at this
So
point.
he just have to present that.
Mhm.
All right,
So,
we will.
I mean, and not necessarily have to be concrete, it also can be asphalt, I believe. So I would have to review that, but for hard surface, it can be asphalt.
But they don't allow rock.
Rock is not considered a hard surface by our definition, so.
Okay.
No more rebuttal or questions, right? Public comment portion for this public hearing is now closed. The floor is open to commissioners' comments. Comments, discussion, motion.
I would recommend the approval of the conditional use, with the conditions stated in the staff report.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and second to approve with staff conditions. All in favor?
Aye.
You abstain? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, a public hearing. We now formally open a public hearing to consider a vacation of a portion of the platted lift station easement. Any members of the planning commission have a conflict of interest in this case?
I do.
I'll be abstaining. Sounds like Jimmy will be abstaining. Any members received any written or electronic communication on this matter? Staff, please present.
Okay, subject site is 7474 South Seneca Street. It is located in rural Sedgwick County and within the city of Haysville's area of influence. This property is currently developed as single-family residential. The characteristics of the neighborhood is rural, single-family. The applicant is requesting a vacation of a portion of the platted lift station easement located in the southwest corner of their property. The west half of the applicant's garage was built approximately 30 feet into the lift station easement, and the applicant is requesting said vacation to come in conformance with city code. The requested vacation is also part of Public Works negotiation with the property owner to obtain new permanent easements on the subject property for the Phase 1 Southwest Interceptor project now under design, plus a new easement for the future Phase 2 project. Upon approval of the vacation, the applicant's garage will be clear of all future and current easements by approximately 2 feet. You will see a letter from the Public Works Director in your packet that explains this a little better. Neither the city nor the property owner has documentation explaining how this encroachment happened. I believe this garage was built back in 96 or something, I'm not sure. But this property is Sedgwick County, so permitting wouldn't have went through the city. My best explanation for this is GIS wasn't as easy to look at back then, so permitting would have went through the county, not us, so I don't have a real good explanation of why it happened, but vacating part of this is not gonna hurt our lift station. We still have enough space for future and everything, so we are recommending approval of this, and I can stand for any questions.
Was there a permit pulled for the garage?
In 96, we have no idea.
It would have been through the county, not us. So Timber Lane, or Timber Creek is south of this, and then this is kind of in between, so.
No applicant or agent.
No.
Anybody from the public wish to speak? No rebuttal. Public comment is now closed for commission action, and the floor is open to commissioners' comments. Any questions, concerns, general thoughts? This is an advertisement for hiring a surveyor whenever you build a building.
I move that we recommend the approval of the vacation of the lift station easement as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to recommend approval for the lift station easement vacation. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? I abstain and Jimmy abstains.
I abstain.
No old business, no correspondence. Off agenda, next meeting date is
June 12th.
June 12th.
I move we adjourn.
item 9. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, everybody.